Chapter 3. Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. Staying open, recognizing limits, and being willing to stand alone. Marie Osmond claimed to be a little bit country, and her brother, Donnie, responded that he was a little bit rock and roll. For me, the operative part of that hype was little bit. But with Dick and I, it often comes down to being a lot black and white and a little bit shades of gray. I nearly always begin with black and white. I need a baseline, some standard. Dick usually comes to things, initially at least, with a less restrictive eye. He seems to accept the possibility of more possibilities. This is only one reason I value our friendship so much. Remember the story of the blind man and the elephant? One blind man stood holding the tail, another touched the elephant's leg, and so on. Each, depending on their perspective, thought they saw something different. A rope, a tree, etc. Dick and I get to see more of the elephant sooner because we're willing to consider each other's point of view, and because we both made life-changing decisions to get real. Being right can be wrong. Having said that, I will stand on my premise that getting at our truth is pretty simple. As Dick so aptly points out, issues are not so simple. This book is not about getting right. Maybe we'll do that next time. It's about getting real. There's a big difference between the truth and our truth. We might think that we're right, the truth about everything, and we certainly know how to act like we're right about everything, but we're not. Ever. Forget about it. But we can be real, our truth, about everything. And one of the fastest routes to that reality is admitting to ourselves and to those around us that we don't know everything. One aspect of this approach to life, the universe, and everything has to do with getting over the irrational notion that being asked a question means we have to know the right answer. Let me put that another way. Most of us feel the need to be on the right side of things, regardless of how little knowledge, wisdom, and/or experience we might have. Or worse, regardless of how we really feel. We want to belong, or perhaps just get along, but whatever the reason, I believe that saying what we think will work best in a given situation is almost always a counterproductive behavior. Sociologists and theologians sometimes call it situational ethics. The difference between the truth and your truth. When, as Dick suggests, a touchy issue comes up, knowing how to be real and how to be sensitive to the feelings and beliefs of others can be dicey. Topics like abortion do, indeed, involve life and death decisions, but getting at the truth is a very separate matter from getting at your truth. And getting at and dealing with your truth is what this book is primarily about. Being real means, among other things, being honest about who you are and what you feel. Unlike the politician who implies one position when speaking at the local union hall and quite another when he's behind the pulpit at the big church downtown, we need to stand up in our own truth, right or wrong, wherever we are. When we define what we think, and thus who we are, by what we think others will readily accept, we have lost touch with ourselves and with reality. And by most definitions, losing touch with reality reflects some degree of poor mental health. So, how can we be real in the face of tough issues and opinionated people? And how can we do that without coming off like a blowhard? I believe that the trick lies in recognizing that we might, in the greater cosmic sense, be wrong. This recognition leads to humility, and humility leads to an awareness of and a compassion for the feelings of others. Our views, whatever they might be, will not be as likely to alienate us from others if we express them with loving humility. And if we can go a step farther and genuinely accept the possibility that we might just change our views given more information, more experience, and more time to reflect, then we can say with complete integrity, This is how I feel about this now, and I'm conscious bound to live accordingly. That statement, unlike some version of I know the truth and this is it, isn't nearly so threatening to others, leads more often to dialogue as opposed to argument, and allows us to be real every day, wherever we go and under every circumstance. The FBI agent who discovered his son's guilt faced an extremely painful decision, and however he resolved it, I trust Dick will tell us, he made a profound declaration about his core beliefs relating to character, honor, and integrity. And by making that declaration, he could not help promoting that value system to everyone involved, especially his son. It's seldom possible to have it both ways in this life. Consistently saying one thing and doing another is a pretty good sign that you do not really believe in what you say. And nowhere is it more important to be real than in our relationships with our children. Getting real as parents. One of the most unreal behaviors evident in parents is our total denial about what our children do or don't see and comprehend. It's almost as if we will ourselves into believing that they don't notice our moods, our mistakes, our inconsistencies, or our lack of integrity. But they do notice everything, and they do remember forever. It's impossible for us to set perfect examples of perfect behavior for our kids, but it is possible to teach a positive instead of a negative lesson in the face of our imperfections. How? By getting real. When instead of acting like nothing happened, we look ourselves in the mirror and our children in the eye and speak truthfully, we teach them how to be real. If we ignore our failings, and if we bristle when our kids invariably point them out, we have no right to expect anything different from them. When, for example, a child says, "Mommy, what's the matter?" and Mommy says, "Nothing, honey," two tragic things happen. By choosing to pretend that the child isn't aware of her distress, the mother, 1, dismisses the child's honest sensitivities as an error and or a nuisance, and 2, teaches the child that the way to deal with strong feelings is either to ignore them or deny their existence. On a very basic level, the child instinctively recognizes 2 additional things. 1, Mommy's problem is probably worse than she or he thought, and 2, Mommy lied. If there's anyone, anywhere, who deserves nothing but real truth from us, it is our own children. How can they possibly learn anything positive about integrity, about being real, if their own parents continually pick and choose between the truth and the convenient lie? Do they need all the dirt about all our problems? Of course not. But a simple, honest answer is what they deserve. I feel tired today, or I feel a little sad today, might be all the child needs in order to learn exactly the opposite lessons. 1, I was right, but it's okay. And 2, Mommy tells me the truth. If we are honest with our children, the odds are far better that they will be honest with us and with others. And just as importantly, the child learns that feelings and emotions are a normal part of life, the universe, and everything. It's okay to be frustrated sometimes. Sadness isn't a bad thing. Being real means living with our feelings, embracing them instead of pretending they don't affect us emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Facing reality. Over a decade ago now, I remodeled an old house. One of the first major tasks was fixing the living room ceiling. The original builder hadn't properly reinforced the rafters, so the drywall attached to them was badly warped. We tore down the drywall, shored up the rafters, hung new drywall, and sprayed it with that thick and bumpy textured ceiling paint. Within days, a small brown-colored spider took up residence on the new ceiling. Whenever anyone walked into the room, he would stop crawling and hunker down, or is that up, next to one of those white textured bumps. He was, in his own mind at least, hiding. The idea that a brown spider could hide from us on an all-white ceiling is no less ridiculous than pretending that our children, or our close friends for that matter, don't notice every stupid, hurtful thing we do or say. But unlike the poor spider, we can choose to face the reality of our situation. Looking in the mirror isn't easy. And because the world can be a scary place filled with unpleasant drama, we sometimes create our own drama. Life, the universe, and everything seems safer, more manageable somehow. We cast ourselves in the lead, of course, a misunderstood soul who is heroic or betrayed or beleaguered or whatever. But the trouble is, the minute we start acting out our alternate reality, the minute we deny who we really are and what we really feel, everything gets more complicated. For us and for others around us. No relationship can ever be truly real if we cannot be real with ourselves. And when we create a drama that isn't real, we will be forever disappointed in those around us who invariably fail to follow our script. Getting real and popularity. Am I a little bit country or a little bit rock and roll? Do I have real opinions, or do I take on the opinions of others in order to fit in better? What really matters to me? In Hamlet, Shakespeare penned the phrase, "To thine own self be true." He was talking about getting real. He was talking about living with integrity, regardless of what others might think of us. Today, that's often called standing in your truth. Back in the 70s, I went to a series of seminars called Design for Successful Living, given by a fellow named Larry Coy. His take on the subject was pretty sobering. If we are to stand in our truth, live lives marked by a commitment to character, honor, and integrity, he said, then we must be prepared to stand alone. Ouch. Isn't that the very thing most of us are trying to avoid? Isn't being popular, having friends, a neon sign that says, "I'm a good person"? Why would I deliberately choose to be alone? Well, I don't think being real means we want to be alone. I don't even think it necessarily means we are going to have to be alone. But I do think that we need to value who we are enough to be willing to stand alone if push comes to shove. And make no mistake, if you make a commitment to stand in your own truth, to look in the mirror, come what may, push will very likely come to shove on occasion. The temptation to blend in, not to make waves, or to look anywhere but in the mirror will never go away. But the truth, your truth, really is a simple thing to see. If you really want to see it.